We really want to know, and we're ready to get back in it Monday. Let's do it. Yeah.
Well, good morning, and welcome to the latest episode of the Project Failure Files, the series for anyone who manages people, projects, or processes for a living. I am Sharon Weaver, CEO of Smarter Consulting.
And I am Christian Buckley, founder of Collab Talk, and welcome to another episode where Sharon and I explore leadership and management topics from the perspective of what not to do.
And this is the first of 5 very special episodes where we're going to focus specifically on topics that are related to the absolute rapid growth of AI technology within the enterprise and how AI is impacting how we lead and how we manage people.
Yeah, we thought it was important to cover these topics specifically. I know we dabble in it. We talk about it throughout the regular weekly sessions. But we wanted to cover this perspective around AI specifically because it is becoming so common. I think there are problems that are starting to crop up. It's definitely having an impact. So it was worthwhile, and we've organized it into these 5 nice little packaged topics. So
yeah, exactly. And so today, for our first episode in the series, we are going to talk about
mini series.
Mini series.
Yes.
Yeah, in the sub series.
Yes.
We are going to talk about one of the absolute most expensive mistakes that organizations are making right now: automating a mess. This is when AI amplifies chaos instead of fixing it.
What? Yeah. This is I like this, the let's just add AI strategy. It's kind of like, what was it before that? What was the last thing? It's like, let's just add like corporate search, enterprise search to this. Let's just add collaboration. Let's just add something as if intelligence alone will somehow compensate for unclear workflows, bad data, inconsistent processes.
Yeah. In fact, I've had a presentation on this for years called automation. It was automation doesn't solve bad processes or something. But yeah, AI doesn't fix broken systems, right? It seasoning anything with AI doesn't automatically solve your problem. It just accelerates and enhances whatever you've got going on. If your inputs are flawed, your process is unstable, automation will just make you fail faster. So garbage in, garbage out, right? Only now it's garbage at machine speed and with a lot more confidence.
Yeah, this is the really the dangerous part about it, because you're right. I mean, it's this amplification of bad things. When automation makes things faster, it can create this illusion of progress. That's part of we always talk about how AI sounds overconfident. But it also makes you think, hey, I'm doing something here, even while quality may quietly degrade. I've seen this inside of organizations already. We're seeing it with clients where they skip foundational work. There's no documentation. There's no standardization. There's no clear ownership around tasks and activities. But they're piloting AI tools and wondering why they're not seeing these magic numbers that they got sold on to roll the technology out in the first place.
Piloting.
Yeah.
They're piloting. Yeah. Well, and it's really funny because we have talked about this over and over and over. And I remember, I think you and I have been on multiple panels where people are like, what should you do to make AI successful? And my answer is, if you've been doing the right things, you shouldn't have to do a whole lot, right? Mostly before you optimize, you have to stabilize, right? That basically means understand what you've got, document your workflows, simplify your steps, clarify decision rights, make sure that the process itself is sound.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like you people attempt to move from one home to another by just having the mover show up, and then they start thinking about packing at that point. It does happen, but the majority of us, we organize things. We purge the junk that we don't want to take with us. We clean up, we organize, we move it into boxes so it'll be easier to disassemble on the other side. That's part of the cleanup. There's some prep to be prepared for the speed and amplification of AI. Leaders need to learn how to spot fragile systems. They need to, even within their organizations, they might have some teams that are ready, others that are not. And outcomes are going to vary wildly depending on who runs the process. And in most cases, most systems are not ready for automation. There's some of that cleanup that needs to happen first.
Yeah, really smart organizations move from pilot to platform super carefully. First they figure it out, then they test, then they mess it up, then they test it again, then they mess it up, then they refine. But ultimately, the idea is that you're protecting quality while you're increasing speed.
It's funny, like doing the pilot, again, try air quote, pilot, is there's almost an entire project around, okay, now how are we actually going to deploy this and implement and get it adopted into our system? So it's not like there's just a move from A to B. There are multiple steps along the way. Because scaling instability doesn't create transformation. It creates bigger problems, hot messes, faster. So as always, this should be a great conversation. I know we both have already a lot of experience with this. We're doing a lot of trainings, working with many customers, all of which are asking for AI. So we're talking about this stuff daily, which is why we're doing the mini series. Say mini series within Project Failure Files. But please continue, share your feedback in the comment section, especially if you've seen AI either expose or amplify weaknesses within your own organization. We'd love to hear those stories.
Yeah, we're going to pilot this.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get started with some definitions.
I think of this, is this, act of layering AI onto what's already, a messy room, an unstable, again, undocumented, inconsistent systems and processes and workflows and kind of all those things, and expecting it just to work. Like, again, I go back to, it's hard for me to separate, just given our backgrounds in collaboration and information management systems. Let's just slap search on the top of it and it'll find everything that we need and give us the right data. It's like, no, there's actually a lot of classification and organization of data to be able to get those beautiful dashboards that you see in all the demos. And why would you think AI would look at content any differently?
Yeah, well, I mean, you've seen the videos, you've seen the commercials. All you have to do is buy the license and turn it on, and automatically it will do all of your work for you, obviously. And I think this is such a big myth. The idea that we can just turn an AI license on generically and it's just going to do all of our stuff for us is absolutely insane, right? Ultimately, it's going to take what you're doing and it's going to understand that, and it's just going to do more of it. So if what you're doing is organized and systematic and, you've already got things defined, it's going to be okay. You are going to speed that up. You're still going to have to fix things just like you always did. But ultimately, if you just, like you said, if you just slap AI over the top of what you've got, it just going to potentially create a bigger mess.
There's a seductive equation floating around a lot of management teams, boardrooms right now, and it's this broken process plus artificial intelligence equals fixed process. Like, we've done something.
Obviously.
But that math has never worked. And what you actually get is a broken process with a bigger blast radius. I had Star Wars on the mind, so I was thinking phrasing for that. But that blast radius. Yep. Open the blast shield. Open the blast shield. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, long story short, it's not, AI is not going to fix your system. It's not going to fix your process. It's just going to accelerate what's going on.
I was doing a little bit of research into this, Sharon. There's some interesting studies. One of those dozens of 50 plus tabs that are open in my browser. MIT did a 2025 generative AI. What do they call the divide report? They did a study that they found that 95% of enterprise AI pilots are failing to deliver measurable returns. Okay, we've heard that stat in different places. And the root cause is not technology. Again, not a surprise there. Yeah. It's flawed integration. It's the inability to figure out how we're going to actually roll this out, how it's going to be integrated, implemented, and with work that actually gets done. So we're not facing an intelligence problem here. We're facing a foundation problem.
Yeah. So, I mean, with that, maybe we should talk about, maybe some project and cultural impact.
Yeah, you think of this too. Again, what we're seeing, scalability issues. You have people that are going in there and using the results. I mean, the problems with using AI for a lot of this is that it's like when I train Sharon, I know you'd say the same thing, but I said, like, never go with the first result, ask other questions, dig in, validate the answers, especially if you're doing something that's factual. Like, where did you get that? Can you show me the source, show me the sources, back up that claim. And so it's great the speed at which you can come back and the idea generation. But whenever it's important that we get the answer right on that, I'm constantly pushing back.
Yeah. So you're saying humans kind of have to be involved to make sure that they understand that the information that's coming out is actually accurate.
Something like that. I've heard that. Yes.
Yeah, because otherwise, I mean, ultimately, and let's talk about this from a what not to do, right? Is that we turn AI on and we just completely 100% trust everything that's out there, right? We just let it do its thing. And ultimately what ends up happening is if you give it too much trust right away, you don't understand how to use it. You just say, okay, we're just going to do this. Anywhere that there's a gap in your system, your content, anywhere there's content that's outdated, or maybe it is, duplicated, or maybe you have multiple copies of the same information, but you haven't version controlled it, or you haven't published it, or you have no idea which one is which. It's going to surface all of that really, really fast. And it's going to surface all of that really, really easily. And if you don't know what's right and what's wrong, it may be pulling from your own content, but your own content isn't managed well enough to be able to do it. So, I mean, from a process perspective and from a team's perspective, what not to do is basically just trust in the tools and, assume that it's all correct.
I think that it's interesting, as you know, in the AI Foundations course that we train teams on, we go through and we talk about like the ethical use of the technology. And part of that is training on helping people understand, like, what is a hallucination, what is bias, the copyright issues, kind of all those other things. Basically, all the topics that, erode trust in the results that they're getting. And it's trying to get them to understand, look, it's a tool. It's not magic. It doesn't have all of the answers, and you need to, push back on the responses there. But it's funny, like, because you see where people they get so enamored by the speed, the creativity, like all the things that it can do, and then they get burned repeatedly, and you start to see that erosion of trust and frustration. And I went and built this, and I thought it was going to do this, and it didn't help. I mean, a great example is, and you have to remember the other part too, is that a lot of the tools, like we work with Microsoft, closely with Microsoft technology, it's all brand new. They're adding things every week. There are new features, new capabilities. And so, one of the frustrations was, I saw a demo that showed this, and I got it into my own system, and it didn't work exactly like that. I'm like, well, that's every demo ever shown.
Right.
Is like that. But with AI, I mean, a lot of that now, this expectation is I can go in there and vibe code this, and it will just do all these incredible things, and I'll have a finished product at the end. It's like, no, there's still a bit on those demos, a bit of smoke and mirrors. There's, again, incredible things that it can go and do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just be careful. I would say be careful not to get, not to lose your trust so quickly in what AI can do. It's just, you need to understand what it can and can't do.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I think there's a quality control piece that's there too, right? And I think over time that some of this will probably be improved as we go forward. But as you add AI to your stack, if you're not also looking at how doing that is impacting things, you could be doing things that you don't even expect. For example, I have a product that I've used for a while now. I noticed that some things changed. I wanted to do some stuff over the weekend, and so I got on a chat support. Just being like, "Oh, hey, I have a question. I just need to do this." And it was very quickly obvious to me that it was an AI agent, not a real human being, because they just kept spitting back links from their support guides over and over and over and over. No matter what I asked, I just kept getting links back to the support guy. And I just basically sat and kept going at it over and over and just kept asking different questions. And finally, I got a prompt that said, "We're going to escalate you to our advanced support team," which, you would lead you to believe might be a human. But truthfully, I continued to ask the questions and I continued to get those same kind of support links. And I went through probably 3 or 4 different people to get there. And I still never got my question answered. And it's entirely possible that they might lose me as somebody who consumes this product as a result of that, because I'm like, well, if I can't get my questions answered, I'm going to go to somebody who can. So I think culturally, when we think about as we add AI in general, whether it's internal, external, cross-functional, whatever, if you don't remember the foundational pieces to what you're doing and why you're doing it, AI doesn't know.
Right.
It's just going to keep doing what it's told to do.
Well, I think the mistake there again culturally is saying that, well, AI is the strategy. It's like, no, it's not. You need to have the strategy, and AI can help you implement that, can again implement, speed it up, amplify it, all those things. It's interesting. McKinsey talked about, they found that in their organizational reporting, that nearly 3 times more the companies that maybe restart over on this thing. They, in a study that they conducted, they found that nearly companies that redesigned their work processes first, they went in looking, how do we clean this up and get it ready for AI optimization, that they were more likely to get achieve their business benefits out of those workflows. Versus the old way of going and automating and then looking for like a miracle that it would change things. And it's the garbage in, garbage out. So by going in and optimizing for that first, again, it's the same thing. I go back to the movers. If you go in and throw out all the junk first and then focus on that, it's going to make the moving process and getting organized as part of that just so much smoother.
So, okay. So crazy thought here. You're saying I just want to get this really, really correct. Mm-hmm. You're saying if we implement new technology that is app driven, if we don't have requirements for what we want or need the app to do, there's a high risk that it's not going to do what we want or need it to do. That's
that feels correct. Yes. I know. Outcome-based strategy. Yes. Yeah. I mean, look, you think of some of the pitfalls, some of the problems of this. If you're going down this path, is that, one, you've still got bad data. You've not cleaned up anything. You've not fixed the fundamental
more bad data.
Right. And you're creating even more on top of that. Bad data begets bad data. Mm-hmm. It makes it messier on that process too. What is automated, what's truly automated, what should be automated, gets more difficult. So again, if you've not optimized for AI, then it could just be even more confusing. And then because of AI's overconfidence in its whatever responses that it provides to you, it could result in reduced confidence in anything else that you produce.
You're right, Christian. It was probably wrong.
It was probably wrong. That's right.
Well, and I think once you've done this for a while, I mean, and I'm already starting to see this. All of these organizations have invested ridiculous amounts of time, energy, and money into this because it's been hot and it's been on trend and they want to pilot. And then it doesn't do what they think it's going to do. And then they're like, well, we've already spent our budget for that and we laid people off to be able to do it. And it's not giving us what we need out of it.
There's AI fatigue. It's happening already. Certainly around everybody talking about it. I think you have companies again like Microsoft that recognize that they slipped up with the branding of Copilot and slapping Copilot on everything, naming. It's when there's a poorly scoped pilot. When a poorly scoped pilot fails because nobody stabilized the process first, so they went and optimized for that. Leadership doesn't say, hey, we skipped a step, like we didn't go and do that cleanup. They just say that, well, AI didn't work here. It didn't work. And so now you've poisoned the well for the next 3 years of innovation. Mm-hmm. And that's another reason why sometimes it takes an outside consultant to come in or a leadership change to shake things up again, to catch back up to where you should have been had you had a I don't know, standardized approach or it wouldn't be standard. It'd be the non-normal approach to AI because it is atypical to think before moving forward.
Right. As I say, what you're supposed to do, what's common sense isn't so common.
Right.
Well, and worse than that, right? Worse than nothing really happened and we didn't get much out of it is something happened that created a big mess. And now we have a security nightmare that we have to clean up because we have, escalated security risks in things. So you think search created a lot of opportunity for a risk. If you don't have something defined around the way people access content, I always say your obscurity by security policy will break, right? Because your AI tool is going to be able to find things that you didn't think people even knew existed. And so now all of a sudden you're going to have security risks that didn't even exist before. And guess who's holding the bag with that? Managers, leaders, anybody who has stood up for this, anybody who got the funding for this, anybody who championed this is now holding the bag of, well, we did your pilot, we put a bunch of time and money into it, and either people didn't get anything out of it or it caused more problems than it solved. These are some of the bad things that come out of it.
Yeah. Nothing exposes an undocumented process quite like trying to automate it. You find and this goes back. You remember my stories that talk about the back of the phone company and being handed that giant 3 rings binder with all those all the workflows around it. And the problem was that most of the way that things were actually done were unwritten rules. They weren't in the freaking workflows. They weren't documented. It was tribal knowledge. There were shortcuts. There was every time it's like, oh, just go ask Brenda about it. It's like, Brenda's out today. AI doesn't know Brenda. Sorry, Brenda. It just sees a gap and AI will just fill that gap. So I think this sounds like what should be there. But and we're seeing those examples already. But overcoming this, a big part of this is it really goes back to those fundamentals that we've been talking about for 25 plus years in cleaning up the content. It's has this process been documented? Are the roles and decisions rights clear? The permissions around this. Do we know the inputs? Do we know the front door process? Do we know the handoffs, the integrations? What are the desired outcomes of that? Then what can be automated? What remains manual? Where do we need oversight of those things? And so having that, information architecture, that the security posture, looking things from a security standpoint and a governance standpoint makes a big difference.
Yeah. No, 100%. I think ultimately, and it's really funny you say, the same thing we've been saying for 25 years, right? If you don't know what's supposed to happen, you cannot expect a tool to know what's supposed to happen. And so ultimately, I think, and I really foresee this being a big time that's going to give us the opportunity to kind of open it up and look. And it's kind of funny. We use the moving analogy a lot, right? We use the moving analogy. We use sports teams a lot, but we use this moving analogy quite a bit. And when you think about moving from one place to the other, one of the things that it does is, it wears you out and exhausts you and all of that. But one of the things that it does is that it gives you the opportunity, right? To look at your stuff, to open it up, and to really decide, is this worth it to me to move it or not? I read something, I don't even remember what it was some minimalism blog, and somebody said she's trying to decide what to keep when they moved, and she's like, I pictured my dog throwing up on it. It's like, and the question was, if this happened, would I replace it? Right? Would I replace it? If I was willing to replace it, then it was worth, keeping and moving. And if not, then it's obviously not worth keeping. And so I'm like, okay, that's, because it's something that's like not cleanable, not repairable, something like this. But
Yeah.
We have this same opportunity right now, like right now in the technology space. We have this opportunity to say, if we're going to automate something, if we're going to layer AI on top of something, is it something that's worth automating? Or is it something that we need to throw in the trash and start over?
Yeah. You just made me think of like it's the old server test. Like, is this, who owns this hardware? And so you used to have, thousands of servers, real and virtual, across different environments. And like, we don't know who's on these, no one's responding. And so we'd send out notifications and you get a few people respond, but majority still no. Then you turn them all off.
Wait to see who screams.
Correct. I mean, it's kind of similar to that, but yeah, I mean, and as far as optimization too, I keep thinking of this too of, is this really something that we should go in and optimize? There's whether this is worth keeping from a data standpoint. I don't know about, throwing up on it or whatever you want to do with the data, like what that actually means in an IT perspective. But the simplest readiness test that I know is like, could a brand new employee on their first day run this process consistently with the documentation that you have? I mean, that was my acid test for that 3-ring binder. Like the answer was across the board, no, on any one of those workflows that were documented and captured. The answer is no. If a new employee can't do it, then you haven't earned the right to automate it yet.
Step 1, does new employee want to open this 3-ring binder?
Can you repeat
all the workflows?
Right. Well, there's that too. Like, but you need to go in. So you need to go in and I love the whole process. If you audit the various systems and the processes, audit your content. Hopefully, you're aware of the life cycle of the content that you own, and there's some effort underway. Maybe renew your efforts to clean up your content and classification, to prepare it for those things. And the next thing is to stabilize all of that. So look at the workflows. I mean, that's going to be the first place to go. And if you've built, Power Platform solutions and other automations, custom solutions that are out there, these are all areas that may be ripe for replacing with AI and becoming more, fast and efficient there. But everything should have an owner. You should have data around. Is it even used or not? Where is it accessing? What is it doing? What's the purpose of these things? And so, because optimization without stability, that's where you get this, again, amplified chaos, this hot mess.
I feel like every leader on the planet right now is like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Nobody told me we were going to have to go back and do all this stuff. Like, what in the heck is happening? But I think you're right? I think when we talk about best practices, they're the same best practices we've always had. It's just now we've got a tool that's going to do amazing things for us if we use it correctly. So definitely look at your existing workflows, look at your existing processes, look at your existing permissions, your existing decision making, right? All of it stuff, like Christian said, you know, if somebody on day one can understand what this is, you're probably going okay. But like, if not, it's entirely possible that if you hand that off to an automated AI engine, it's just going to like spin and have no idea what to do and make a whole bunch of stuff up.
You know, it's funny. Just the thought of what you said. I know it's not exactly what you meant, but like, oh no, I've got to go back and do all this stuff again. The problem is that no, the point we're trying to make is that you were never doing it in the first place. You needed to have been doing it all along. That's the point. It's like the rules never changed. You need to organize your data. Like you got, again, I go back to, we had this discussion 10, 12 years ago, is enterprise search is all these organizations that became kind of mainstream and were saying, I need to go and pay for these additional services. They were just throwing technology on top of their garbage pile of content. They hadn't done the work to get things organized to really get the benefit of search. And so it's wasted time, wasted money.
No, Christian. Search is just an awful tool and it just doesn't work. You don't understand.
Right. So, and then you'll blame AI for the same problems.
Yes, exactly. No, and I do think that's going to happen, right? I think, you know, as we talk about best practices, I think, you know, make sure we have actually a bullet point, right? Align your initiatives to something that's actually measurable. Don't be like, we're going to add AI and it's going to immediately fix all of our problems. Actually say, this is what we're trying to accomplish. This is how we're going to do it. And have something that is reasonable, that you can manage, that you can measure to know, did adding AI to that actually make any significant gains? Or did you just buy a tool that cost a bunch of money and you literally have no idea whether it helped you or not?
Not surprising, Sharon. You know, Informatica also did a 2025 study, and it was their 2025 CDO Insight Survey, found that the top obstacles to AI success were data quality and technical maturity. Not the technology itself, but the understanding of how to utilize the technology, that maturity. And organizations winning at AI, they're the ones that are investing in the majority of their budget in data readiness and governance before they ever touch a model.
Speaking of governance, I think that's my favorite best practice tip of all. Everybody, I literally was on a call earlier today and the question was, but how do we fix that? And I famously answered with, you wrap it in governance. Because the truth of the matter is, it's not a technology problem, it's a governance problem. And governance just comes down to who can do what and when and why, what decisions have we made, and how do we make sure that everybody's doing the things they're supposed to be doing. And unfortunately, short of a crazy logic schema, which you might get to eventually, a lot of that's still going to have to be human based. So make sure you have governance set up.
Yeah. And I, you know, I always think too, like, call to action to wrap this up is, you know, as I said earlier, like, audit the process, go back, and you can't plan for the future if you don't understand where you've been in the past. I don't know, every variation. We seem to like have a version of that statement in every episode here. But, you know, start with, you know, one process, go in, look at the documentation, walk through it, understand that. And then, and use that as an example of, you know, audit first, organize, clean that up, then explore, how do we automate this? That is your pilot. Clean up through automation. It starts there, or, you know, governance through and then automation at the end of that. So you just pick one process that your team is most excited to hand to AI, run it through the cold light of an honest stability check, and you might find that the best thing that AI can do for you right now is show you where the cracks are. Like, you could even leverage AI to help you with the cleanup process.
This sounds like work, Christian.
I know all that, you know, effort. I know it all takes effort.
It's kind of like, you know, when you want to buy the latest product off of your social media ad that promises to solve all your problems, and then you find out that it really is just that you have to, do something you don't want to do.
Well, sometimes the most transformative thing a leader can do is just to slow down, commit to doing looking at one fragile system before scaling anything. And that's not falling behind, folks. It is a journey, not a race out there.
Mm-hmm.
That's building that runway so that you can actually take off. Like you can be successful in each of those pilots. You want to build upon successes, not have failed pilots where there was questionable results out of that. It's not the way to go.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. I think slow down to speed up is a fantastic way to look at it. I think, we do get lost in the craziness of the day-to-day world, and we get busy with tasks, we're busy with doing things. I think sometimes just slowing down, identifying that one process that you can make better, probably going to get you a lot further than much of anything else.
Yep. Well, that's it for this week's episode. Please be sure to follow us out on YouTube, and you can also subscribe to us out on Substack. Just was it substack.projectfailurefiles.com. Yes, that's it. And of course, you can find us on YouTube at Project Failure Files, all is one word. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you next Monday and every Monday after that, I guess.
See you next time.
See you later.